Book 1, Chapter 1 of Cecilia. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Nikki Sullivan. Cecilia, Memoirs of an Heiress by Fanny Burney. Book 1, Chapter 1. Peace to the spirits of my honored parents, respected be their remains, and immortalized their virtues. May time, while it moulders their frail relics to dust, commit to tradition the record of their goodness, and oh, may their orphan descendant be influenced through life by the remembrance of their purity, and be solaced in death, that by her it was unsullied. Such was the secret prayer with which the only survivor of the Beverley family quitted the abode of her youth and residence of her forefathers, while tears of recollecting sorrow filled her eyes and obstructed the last view of her native town which had excited them. Cecilia, this fair traveller, had lately entered into the 21st year of her age. Her ancestors had been rich farmers in the county of Suffolk, though her father, in whom a spirit of elegance had supplanted the rapacity of wealth, had spent his time as a private country gentleman, satisfied, without increasing his store, to live upon what he inherited from the labours of his predecessors. She had lost him in her early youth, and her mother had not long survived him. They had bequeathed to her £10,000, and consigned her to the care of the dean of her uncle. With this gentleman, in whom by various contingencies the accumulated possessions of a rising and prosperous family were centred, she had passed the last 4 years of her life, and a few weeks only had yet elapsed since his death, which, by depriving her of her last relation, made her the heiress to an estate of £3,000 per annum, with no other restriction than that of annexing her name, if she married, to the disposal of her hand and her riches. But though thus largely indebted to fortune, to nature she had yet greater obligations. Her form was elegant, her heart was liberal, her countenance announced the intelligence of her mind, her complexion varied with every emotion of her soul, and her eyes, the heralds of her speech, now beamed with understanding and now glistened with sensibility. For the short period of her minority, the management of her fortune and the care of her person had by the dean been entrusted to 3 guardians, among whom her own choice was to settle her residence. But her mind, saddened by the loss of all her natural friends, coveted to regain its serenity in the quietness of the country, and in the bosom of an aged and maternal counsellor, whom she loved as her mother, and to whom she had been known from her childhood. The deanery, indeed, she was obliged to relinquish, a long repining expectant being eager, by entering it, to bequeath to another the anxiety and suspense he had suffered himself, though probably without much impatience to shorten their duration in favour of the next successor. But the house of Mrs Charlton, her benevolent friend, was open for her reception, and the alleviating tenderness of her conversation took from her all wish of changing it. Here she had dwelt since the interment of her uncle, and here, from the affectionate gratitude of her disposition, she had perhaps been content to dwell till her own, had not her guardians interfered to remove her. Reluctantly she complied. She quitted her early companions, the friends she most revered, and the spot which contained the relics of all she had lived to lament, and accompanied by one of her guardians, and attended by 2 servants, she began her journey from Bury to London. Mr Harrel, this gentleman, though in the prime of his life, though gay, fashionable, and splendid, had been appointed by her uncle to be one of her trustees, a choice which had for object the peculiar gratification of his niece, whose most favourite young friend Mr Harrel had married, and in whose house he therefore knew she would most wish to live. Whatever good nature could dictate or politeness suggest to dispel her melancholy, Mr Harrel failed not to urge, and Cecilia, in whose disposition sweetness was tempered with dignity,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?